Test, 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 test. All right, here we go. So, yeah, hey, what's up, everyone? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. I got access to FramerX here, and I'm just checking it out. And I have a little thing that I created over the past day or two. It's messy. I'm gonna say that this file's pretty messy. I have not done one of these streams super successfully before. There's always something off with the audio, the video, etc. So if you if you find something that's going on in this stream where the audio is not right or the video is not right or quality is not up to par or something, let me know. I will do my best to take care of it, although it's hard to do it live. Okay. I guess the point of this stream is really to answer your questions and to show it off a little bit. I full disclaimer, I have no connection to Framer. They're not paying me for this. This is my honest opinions. I've only had this for a few days now, so I'm a novice at this application. In fact, my muscle memory still wants to do. I primarily use Figma, so my muscle memory wants to do all the things it does in Figma. So I am still getting used to it. So that is some caveats there. Also, another big thing is that this is a beta application. In fact, I just got my second update to it moments before coming on live here. Just seriously, moments. So, uh, uh, yeah. So that said, this thing is it's definitely a beta application. I'll tell you that. There's definitely some weird things here and there. There's things you're going to run into, but all in all, it's a pretty cool experience so far. And yeah, I want to answer your questions. I want to talk a little bit about it. I want to make this thing working super nice. Somebody's saying the audio is a little low. How low is it? Is it super duper low? Is it uncomfortably low? Is it impossibly low? Or is it just a little bit low? Let me know, and I'll see if I can do anything about that without peaking the mic or something. But yeah, so check it out. This is a FramerX here. Hopefully you can see the entire window here. It's not bad. It looks like any of your other applications. We have our sort of layers properties over here. You can see I have not named any of my layers, which is, again, part of why this file is pretty sloppy. We have our standard sort of toolbar here where you can add your stuff, where your paths, your drawings, anything like that. As far as these the path workings and vector-based drawing tools go, this thing feels great. It feels a lot like Sketch or Figma or any of those. It feels nice to do all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of really neat special features in this thing, and I'm gonna try to get into a lot of these special features. Talk a little bit about some of the cool stuff here. But some of the killer features in this app are based around components. Now, we have a components window. This thing, it looks pretty nice. It kind of looks like Figma's. It's better than Sketch's symbols, which are a total mess, total nightmare. And I think they're doing a pretty good job. I know they mentioned that this is something that they're interested in improving even further upon this, the components sort of management. I think the best component management is probably Figma, that allows you to group and organize and share and maintain and stuff like that in a much better way. But it's overall pretty nice. You'll notice some interesting components in here. For instance, I have a YouTube component or a charts component or a loading indicators. I did not make these. I downloaded them. It's pretty sweet. So this is one of the killer features of this app that I think has the most potential of being like a really game-changing kind of thing is the store here. And here we have access to a bunch of components that people have made. Now, these are components that people have made via code, via React, or design, and they can share these components, and you can come in here and select one of them. And yeah, you can install it just like anything, right? So I've installed this YouTube component, which is actually pretty sweet because this YouTube component takes an actual YouTube URL, it pastes it in there, and it gives you the real thumbnail. And you can see in my file, if I head back to my file, I think I have to just click on one of these. You can see this is not an image. This is a YouTube component. And if I select this, you can see it just took a YouTube URL and there's a little autoplay thing. You can even make it autoplay. It's pretty sweet. So Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that this application I think is going to excel in, this library of creating components and sharing components that are more in depth and more useful than just a standard design comp. Now, here's a big caveat with that. This is a code component. This accepts some parameters. Notice over here in our layer property what it doesn't give you. It doesn't give you that stuff that you might be used to. It doesn't give you any layers. It doesn't give you any options to change this. And this is something that I feel like is not super clear right now with the framework sort of talking about this application, that there is a huge distinction, a huge distinction between code components and design components. They're separate. And a design component is something like you're used to in Sketch or Figma or any of that stuff. And a code component is one that you've created via React. Now, there is not any overlap there. It seems like there could be overlap there, but there's not any overlap there. So that's a huge bummer. I think it's something that they're maybe looking to explore. It seems like a giant technical challenge, but honestly, the fact that you can even bring in React components or design React components in a design tool itself it's a killer feature. It's not something that anything else can do, and certainly not anything can do this elegantly, right? So we have a component here. And I've even made my own component. You can see it just says hello world over here. It's funny, if I were to come in here and I were to grab one of these, let's say this one, it just says sup here. Let me zoom in on this. Ooh, that's nice and big. All right, there's my sup component, right? This is a code component. This is not a design component. You'll notice I cannot modify this design. I can't even select this text. But what I can do if I really want to is I can cut or click in here. No options from here. Actually, I think that would be nice if you could. No options from here. What you have to do is you have to go into your components. You have to find this component. You have to click on it, and you have to edit code. Now, this is going to pop this open in my text editor, which I have over here. Let me pop this open. You can see this sup component, and I can change this to hello or something. I can save this component. I can head back to Framer, and it's going to change to hello. Okay, this is the most bare bones basic example on the planet. You can see that there's a whole lot of other things, right? These components can accept parameters and all sorts of stuff. For instance, if I come in here and I look at one of these loading indicators, I can just copy the code out of here. I can head to my text editor. I can create a new file. I'll paste this in here. Let me just set the syntax theme to React. And you can see we have a simple thing that all it's doing is outputting a div with the style tag. Now, this code it's usable. I mean, you could throw this component into your actual site and have it work. That's pretty cool. Technically, I'd probably rewrite a lot of this stuff, but the fact that it even gives you some transforms in here, and it gives you a basic starting block to go from, it's pretty cool. Gives you some starting props and stuff like that. It makes this into an actual usable TypeScript component here, and it's pretty cool. So in those aspects of this thing, I really like it. I like that I can copy the code from a component that's created as a code component. I like that you can create a code from like a code component from scratch. Could be super useful, I think. And I think this is pretty nice. As far as some questions came in, somebody says, what if the YouTube API changes and you're reliant on your component code? Yeah, that seems like a worry, but it doesn't look like they're doing too much. It seems like it's just the YouTube embed. So unless YouTube changes their embed system, that so I don't really see that happening, right? I don't know how long the YouTube embed code has been the way it is, but that's not a huge concern to me. Some of this other stuff, maybe like this component, which is a chart component using the Victory chart API. This is a component that Dan Abramov made, and it's a pretty sweet component when I saw him using it, but I haven't been able to get it to work. Again, this is beta, and you can see I can't even drag it in. I got it to drag in once, so I'm not quite sure if this thing is just too hefty or too crazy right now. Again, beta software. Huge emphasis on beta software here. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for this React component stuff. You can even import libraries. Again, this is a Victory chart component, so you can import the Victory library and have it actually work. So again, huge, there's a lot of cool stuff there. I mean, for instance, here's all of these different things that people have already created that you could bring in directly into your package. And have you seen on the Framer X like homepage, they have that the battery icon has parameters where you can even manipulate the battery percentage and it changes the color. Yeah, you can even see it go right there. That's pretty cool. I don't know too many other design applications that are doing this kind of thing, right? I mean, this is taking interactivity to a certain level. So yeah, let's go ahead and explore some more features of Framer. I was playing around with this a bit today. There's some really cool stuff. There's this sort of preview mode. If you click this play icon here, that gives you a little preview icon. If you ever used Principle for Mac, this will remind you of Principle for Mac. Now, here's some of the cool parts of these components, right? I had this YouTube component. Check it out. Hey, there's me. YouTube component actually playing a YouTube video. That's sick. That is awesome. This is a design comp, and here is an actual YouTube video embedded in it. So I love that. We have some scrolling here. Some other applications like Figma are doing this kind of scrolling, or some other prototyping Principle for Mac, Studio, that kind of stuff. You're getting this scrolling. So that's cool. You can click and drag. You can do the mouse wheel, all that kind of scrolling. There's even events. I have a little menu toggle. I did this. I just threw this together. So don't judge this. Don't judge this. I threw this together here. And you could open this, hey, and check it out. It pops in and out. We have all this white space over here. I wish it kind of just snapped to the design. That's okay. But it looks nice. I didn't even give it any easing or anything like that. I just told it to fly in from the left. In fact, if I were to select this, and let me look at the link here. No, not the link. Sorry. I'm still getting the hang of some of this stuff. I think it's the menu. If I want to change this, I come into the link property over here, and I could say, hey, fly in from the bottom. I can save this. I can come back here. Let's refresh this. Okay, well, maybe not. Let's select the frame first, then select this, then maybe not. I broke it. I somehow broke it. I'm not quite sure how. That's how it goes, though. I'm still learning this tool. There's no link here. This is linked on click. And target frame overlay. Select the frame. Hit the play button. There we go. Okay, again, this is I want to reiterate. This is beta. They're highly improving on this. Like I said, I just got an update today, so this is like in flux. Click on this menu. There it goes. Comes up from the bottom. That's kind of weird that it's taking up the whole thing. I didn't tell it to do that, but that's just how it is. And pretty cool. Yeah, this is pretty cool. There's a lot of great little interactive stuff. I love being able to do these cards. Now, here's another killer feature that they like to show off on their homepage. I'm going to zoom in on this. That's actually another criticism of mine, but hoping they change this before launch. The zooming on it is iffy. Like if you pinch to zoom, it goes to 10%, 25, 50, 100. I've got really used to Figma that is like, grows like a pinch and zoom grow. And I can't live without that anymore. It's too nice. Not to mention when you do the keyboard shortcut to zoom a thing, it zooms a thing with a ton of space on all the sides of it, right? Like if I were to select this frame and then zoom to thing, there's a lot of space around here. I'd prefer if it, whatever. These are small little critiques. So let's go in here. So we have, Framer. We have our component here. And what I've created, if you can see over here, this is a scroll area. So this component itself is just a square that I've designated as a scroll area. If you'd like to see me create one, I can actually do that over here. Let's create another scroll area where I can grab a scroll from here or click a scroll, or just drag. There we go. Drag it and drop in a scroll. Now it's asking me to connect a scroll to a scroll frame. So I can grab this little thing and I can point it to another frame like this one. And you'll see down here, we now have this little window pop in here. And if I run my thing here, I can get click to drag scroll, I think. Maybe this isn't working. Let's see. It's easy to mess this stuff up here because it's all a new experience for me. There's definitely a certain way of doing things. Let's go ahead and unlock this and have the wheel be on, and let's have it be a vertical scroll. That is the problem right there. Okay, so there's all sorts of little tools that allow you to manipulate the things like scroll. So again, I was doing it wrong, and now we have this little scrolling area here, and again, it's connected to another frame. That's pretty sick. I like it a lot. Again, that's how I'm doing this. Now, another cool thing that we have here is, let me delete this one, is that the actual component that this is using for this frame is what's called a stack. Now, a stack is something that is sort of like a container, a group, or a frame, or something like that. It contains things, but it uses Flexbox rules. Now, if you're a developer, you're probably used to Flexbox rules, and you probably love Flexbox, because I don't know too many developers who are like, I don't know about this Flexbox thing. It's sick. A lot of people love it. So, for instance, if we select one of these frames here, these are all distributed based on rules rather than pixel perfect dimensions, right? And that's the way we work in the web today. It's all based on rules, right? So, for instance, we have in this stack, we have this with a gap of 40. So the distance between these is 40. And if I were to increase this, you'll see it spreads them out, right? So this right here is basically the gap between each individual item. You'll notice they're distributed vertically. There's a start and a stop. And if I grab one of these things like this one and I click it and I go to drag it because it's not positioned absolutely, look at that. I can swap and actually move its position. Wow, that's great, because look at that. You know how many times you've ever like had something in a design comp and you wanted to move it somewhere and have everything else adapt to it, and then you moved it, you moved the other one, you moved the bottom one, and then you redistribute? Like, this just completely blew that problem wide open, right? That is the that's the solution right there, and it's using Flexbox. It's sick. I love it. One of the things I really wish I could do here, for instance, I have this list, right? Again, this is a major complaint of mine, but again, I understand the technical challenges of this. And again, this is a prototyping tool. This isn't like this isn't a coding tool, right? This is a prototyping tool. What I wish I could do is I wish I could take this component into code and then write something that would generate these titles and numbers here, so I don't have to do it by hand. Again, that would be really nice, or maybe bring in the data from an array, whatever, and to just use the index. That would just be the way I would do it in code, right? So personally, I really wish you could take design components and move them into code components. But right now, again, I mentioned there's a huge distinction between code and design components. So definitely something to be aware of there. But again, this stack feature is really cool. We have each of these individual frames, and it works really super well. This is one of these things that I use this, and I'm like, wow, this saves me a lot of time. And the best part is that it's Flexbox rules, right? It is Flexbox rules. Let's actually go ahead, and I'm going to make a new frame here. Frame is just basically your artboard or anything like that. Actually, you'll notice, let me do that again. I hit the F key like you'd expect. We get a bunch of options here for phones, watch, tablets, computers. I like that they have computers in here. I use my MacBook as a resolution, or MacBook Pro as a resolution for this. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Google Pixel 2 XL, and here we have it. Okay, next I'm going to, let's actually do this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to make a new stack. I'm going to have it be like the bottom menu here. This is their own example that they use, but this is pretty cool. And so notice we'll have a little drop items here thing. Now I'm going to do a little fake pretend. We're going to have some icons here. We're going to do a little rectangle. We're going to duplicate that. We're going to do a oval or circle. And let's just do something in between because I'm being lazy right now. Okay. And what I want to do is I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to drop them into here. And notice how that didn't work. I'm going to try to drop them in here and notice how that didn't work. Let's go see if I can do it with one individual one. Notice how that didn't work. I'm a little bummed out about that. I don't know how we get these items. I don't know how we get them into the stack here. That to me, I think is the thing that this application could do better, right? Things that you would occasionally expect to work, like, hey, I'm just going to drop these in here because it says drop items. It doesn't work. It's okay. We can grab all of these. Actually, let's go ahead and create a new stack, and I'm going to select all of these. And you'll notice now that when I actually dragged around the items, it created a stack with them in it. So again, possible limitation there, and just maybe something to keep your mind on. Like, again, this is beta software. I'm going to just strongly emphasize that. And let's move this open here. Okay, so we have this stack here that has 4 rectangles in it, and right now we want to tell it to, we want it to display these evenly. We want to, let's see, define some sort of gap between them. Hey, it's not working. What is going on here? I just did this today. Just did this a minute ago. You know what? Maybe these have to be frames. I can convert each of these to a frame by doing Command Enter, Command Enter, Command Enter. And I think that is the answer here. I think these need to be individual frames. So if we tell these to distribute horizontally, we want to start at the center. Ooh, where did they go? We want them to have a gap. They have disappeared. Okay, so this is a learning experience, right? Like I just did this stuff and all of a sudden it's not working. Why is that? Where did my item go? It looks like it completely removed the size of it. Okay, so buggy software. This is like not a problem. Again, this is stuff that you come to expect from a beta software. Let me go ahead and make a new frame here. Try it this way. I have a frame, duplicate. Let's have these frames. Let's have them here. Let's create a stack around them. Let's see if this works. There we go. Okay, so that really is the kicker. I guess they have to be frames. Somebody just gave me an El Toro Loco shout out. Thank you for watching. If you don't know, I do a podcast every single week, now twice a week, with Wes Boss at syntax.fm, where we talk all about design, soft skills, development topics, a lot of React and JavaScript stuff, a lot of business stuff, soft skills stuff. So check it out, syntax.fm. If you are into that kind of thing, the podcast is it's pretty popular. So check it out. Okay, so here we have our stack, right? Check it out. We've just made our stack. Key point is that you need it to be frames. Now, I don't know if this is always going to be like this. I have this, there's this little beta feedback up here, and I've just been blowing it up. Not because there's things wrong, but because there's things that I would like to see differently or elaborated on, or even like little hints to let you know to do this or that. So hopefully by the time that the next updates and this gets out of beta, these things are going to be ironed out. I can imagine that they will. They seem to be putting a lot of effort into this thing. So you can see here we have our stack. Check it out. Boom. Let's throw this thing on the bottom. Let's actually give it a background fill, because these are kind of treated as folders or something like that. I can give this like a gray color. We can see that here. Let me actually go and select these items, and let's make one of them a border radius. There we go, just to differentiate them. Okay, so this is super cool. We have these individual frames. They're inside of a stack. The stack looks like this. We've told it to distribute horizontally, which last time we did vertically. And what we want to do is we want to align them to, well, check it out. We could align them to center, or the start, which is the top of our Flexbox. Keep in mind that these align properties are Flexbox, right? So align start puts them up top, align center puts them in the center, aligned end puts them at the bottom, and gap is going to give you any sort of gap between individual items. In addition, we also have padding, which if you'll notice, padding is an overall padding. So it puts it up here. If we want these to like sort of hang out on the bottom and maybe be like 15 pixels from the bottom, maybe like a dock or something like that, you could have them like this. If we wanted no padding, we just wanted them in the center anyways, we could just do that. Center. There we go. Cool. So check it out. So this is great. This is awesome here. We have these individual frames, and I can move this one and say, hey, this icon, which was once the home icon, needs to be all the way over here, and they all swap places. This is their little fancy demo that they do for you on their website, and it's a killer feature. I can't put that any other way. It is a killer feature. The align tool, or this stack tool that works with Flexbox, again, as a developer, I already think in Flexbox, and so many times I'm upset when design apps don't think like developers think, right? Like, I want to have rems as my text size. I know a lot of people might not want that, but I want rems as my text size. I want Flexbox rules. I want that sort of thing, because that's what I'm used to working in. I mean, that's how it translates the best. But this is the most like faithful to web that I've seen here. And yeah, again, I can't talk enough nice things about this. This is a killer feature, these stacks. Once you get out of the buggy, or not even necessarily buggy, but once you figure out how to do it correctly, it works like a charm. Again, I'm still figuring this thing out. Yeah. So, you know, space evenly, space around. We could do space between. Look at that. So this pushes these to the side. Again, it's Flexbox rules. We could align them all to one side. We could align them all to the start. We could align them all to the center. I'm gonna use this nonstop. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm going to use this Flexbox stack thing. I'm gonna use it everywhere in my designs from now on. So a big fan. Again, we have some killer features like that. Again, there's the scroll. There's also the link. So we did the scroll in this area. I showed you kind of the link working, but link, the way it does is you need a frame. A lot of this stuff, they don't tell you this, but a lot of this stuff needs to be done on frames. Like I can't select the menu text itself and turn it into a link. I can't. I have to turn the menu text into a frame and then have that frame be a link. It's a small little thing, but it definitely can throw you off when you're first starting. Another cool thing that this app does is just like most modern design apps nowadays, it does it does component-based workflow, so we can create components, master components, update them, and stuff like that. And it mirrors Figma's component-based workflow much more than Sketches. And in my opinion, that is a good thing, because Sketches is sort of a nightmare, right? If we want to drag a card out here, I can drag this card. This card can be adjusted. I have inside of this card a title on this card that I can have here like this. Let me remove this hello text, or even just make it invisible. I think it's this test. There we go. So yeah, I have this card heading, right? And just like this card over here, I can pop this thing anywhere I want, and you can see it adjusts and works correctly, just like you would expect. And a lot of these things, if you click on one of them, you'll see this really neat little thing over here where you can pin things. For instance, I actually want this to pin to the top and not to the bottom and to the right. And you can see if I hover over this, it gives you, in just below this, it gives you a little simulation of how it's going to respond to this window moving, which is a tiny little design interface thing, but it is awesome. There's so many times I'm like, I know it's dumb because you should know how these things work, but you click around these things and you're like, I think this is going to pin to where I expect it to pin. And then having that little simulation lets you know that it does. If I select my frame here, check it out. Boom. This is pinned here and here. So you can see it's pinned here and here. What's not pinned, as you've noticed, is this stuff. I didn't pin it to this side. There we go. I didn't pin this to this side. There we go. Let's also pin this to the top and not the bottom. There we go. Let's select my frame and check it out. We're going to have a responsive window here like this. Super cool. And notice how the main section's responding, but the one column isn't. To get around that, I would just select this one and say, hey, also pin to the left, and you. Hey, also you. Hey, pin to the left as well. We can select this, the frame coming in here, and everything is sort of responsive, I guess. I think there's probably ways around that by putting in containers and stuff like that. Again, I haven't spent as much time with this as I have. Figma's has like some different options where it has like percentage based and pin and stuff like that. So I'm used to having a little bit more there. But again, I got to play around with it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I guess at this point, I want to take some questions about this thing because I've showed off a lot of its features. Again, I'm a novice at this. I'm very used to using Figma. Everything I want to do in Figma isn't always the same thing. Like some caveats here. I don't know if this will change here, but I had a hard time editing one of these icons, one of these SVG icons, right? So I came in here, I was like, okay, well, I'll just pop into the icon. Oh, wait, it's just an icon? How do you get into it? I'm used to these being a group files. So hopefully by the time this is released, you can just dive into this. Not to say you can't edit SVGs. To edit an SVG, you have to double click the SVG, I think. Double click. It worked. Worked earlier. Either way, you double click the SVG. Let's say this one. I double clicked it and it turned into a group over here, and you can access the individual paths that way. But again, I feel like it should just be a group to start. That's just me. Who knows? Maybe they'll change it. Again, beta software. Okay. But yeah, I'm ready to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions or things you want me to try out, test out, stuff you want to look at, I have a whole bunch of their own files on my desktop here. I can load up some of those. Like, let's load up this one. Oh, and there's a light mode too. If you don't like the dark window, you can turn this thing into a light or day mode. Dayman. Here we go. There we go. Nice and bright if you're used to that. I like the interface. Again, there's a lot of things here that look like Figma to me. and that's like a good thing in my mind because to me that's king design app right now. Let's go night mode. Here we go. So let's try the simulation. I can select this one. Oh, this is telling you how to do this. So you drop an item. Do I drop this in here like this? Okay, so that worked. I dropped the frame in and it worked. I dropped this frame in and it worked. Drop this frame in and it worked. Okay, key is frames. You can't drop shapes into this thing. That is a caveat. There we go. We got stacks. Let's fire it up. Again, it's not a whole lot different than what I showed you in my own example, but now I can see this as a real app here. Cool. And if I want to manipulate these or move these around, I can grab an individual one and move it, and they all sort of adjust. Brilliant. Okay. Super cool. I like that they have these example projects. I actually didn't even, that's the first time I've opened the example project. I'm much more of a get in there and try it myself kind of person. So struggle through it a little bit here to find some weird things. But okay, let's get some questions. When is the Framer X course coming out? That's a good question. I don't know when Framer is going to be released officially. Those of you who do not know, I release web development courses on leveluptutorials.com. I also have courses on Figma and Sketch. My Sketch video is very popular on Twitter or on YouTube for a long time. So if you're interested in learning some of this stuff like React or Apollo or Vue.js or any of this stuff, check out leveluptutorials.com. I have a subscription service that gives you access to everything, or you can buy each thing a la carte, depending on what you need access to. So I will, after playing with Framer X, I haven't decided, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a course on it, especially because I do so many courses on React itself. It seems like the perfect intersection of something for me to do. It's a tool that I plan on using a bunch, so Framer X course will come out after it's released. And I have full access to it for a decent amount of time. So there will be a Framer X course at some point. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Scott, can you not turn the scrollable content into a component which would allow you to edit the code? You can't because, well, it is a component already. So this is a component right here. It's a component right here. Even all these individual ones are components, right? So if I were to change, let's say here's the master component. Where's the master component? If I were to change the master component, actually, maybe that's why it didn't let me double click on the icon. And let's see if that's accurate. It is accurate. Hey, it didn't let me double click on the icon because it wasn't the master. I have access to this, right? Let's go ahead and zoom in on this guy. This is the master. I go ahead. I change this. Just delete it entirely. You can see it updates. So each of these are components. This is a component, and this frame is a component. The reason why you cannot convert a component into React code is because they're not the same thing. I was just talking to Framer about this earlier today because it was very confusing to me. Components, although they are all listed here under components, these are not all created equal. These are two separate things, right? We have a design component and a code component. And you'll notice when we clicked new component, it gives us an access to create a new component from design or from code. And so you could select anything in this application. You could select anything here and you could turn it into a design component. Like let's say this car, I guess that's not a good idea. This one right here, I could turn this into a component with Command K. It's a component now, and I can go ahead and it should be available over here or something like that. I have this component, it's a design component. What I cannot do is I cannot edit that code. There's a complete separate distinction between code components and design components. As in if a component starts as a design component, it cannot become a code component. And if a component starts as a code component, design, whatever, I said the opposite of what I said. Basically, you can't go back and forth between the two. It's either one or the other, which again is a bummer, but you have to keep in mind that no other app here is even doing components via code at all. So this is not a prototyping tool that will allow you to take your designs into code directly from the tool. It doesn't do that. At least it doesn't do that right now, okay? I'm not saying it doesn't do that forever. You cannot design a whole mock-up, have it spit out some React code, and then use that code. No, you have to either start with code or start with design and keep it there. The benefit of a code component, I should say, is that there are parameters. You can make them highly configurable, have some unique functionality like this YouTube video playing video, and you can share them as code, right? I can take some of my code that I've already written from Level Up Tutorials, right? You'll notice that this site is built in React, right? This is a component right here. I could take this code component, rework it, maybe without the data, rework it, and then import it in here. And then anyone could have this component itself, right? That's pretty cool. They could change the image, they could change the data, they could change some parameters on it. Anything in here in this site is a component, right? So that's the benefit there. Okay. Would this replace Figma for you if the bugs get fixed? Maybe. The things I like about Figma, I like it's really easy to use. It's cross-platform. This is not cross-platform. This is Mac app. I like a lot of people have grown increasingly tired of Apple. Like Apple just makes terrible decisions all the time, and I'm just not totally excited about the direction that they're going. So like, I don't know if I want to buy a Linux computer or no, probably not a Windows computer, but let's say I want to buy a Pixel book or something like that, right? I could do all of my development on that. I have access to Node, I have access to the file system, I could install VS Code, and I could use Figma on that system, but I can't use this. So it's a tough call for me. This has a lot of killer features. Also, Figma has the multiplayer mode where teams can work on one file at the same time, like a Google Doc. I like that a lot. But this app is young. It's a beta, and it has some really neat features. And I don't plan on not using a Mac anytime soon. So I'll probably be using this for a little bit, and definitely keep an eye on it. I like to try out a lot of things. I'm the type of person that will jump ship a lot from one thing to another thing. So the jury's still out. I really like a lot of the killer features on this. A lot of the stuff will save me a ton of time. I plan on doing a little bit of design work on this more intensely. So we'll see. All right, can you show the component store? Yeah, the component store is like, again, one of the killer features in this thing. A reason that would definitely, this is something that would definitely make me want to use this a ton more, especially if I was designing for a project that was on iOS or Android or something like that, and I wanted to quickly gain access to all of the material design components, like the fact that I have, the toggles and the buttons and all of these material UI or even the human design guideline stuff, the iOS kit here. The fact that I have this stuff available without having to go get it, and the fact that it's interactive. I know it's not too different than just going to Sketch App Sources and downloading a pack of components or something like that. But the fact that they're built into the app, the fact that they're code configurable, I can drag the sliders and have things change a little bit and stuff like that. It's super cool to me. I think this is a killer feature, and I'm going to be happy to use this stuff. For instance, I mean, that YouTube component. In Figma, I made my own YouTube component, and I actually, it's just a screenshot of the YouTube embed. And that sucks because it'd be really cool if I could give it any sort of URL and it actually updates with the URL. It's going to make designing a little bit more real world. I like that. Any other questions about Framer X here while I have it open? Again, this app is pretty dang cool. SoundCloud player. Keep in mind, there's a handful of people who have access to this app right now, and this component store has already got a ton of stuff in it, which is kind of mind-blowing to me because I haven't uploaded anything to this, and there's only a handful of people uploading stuff to this, but there's already a ton of stuff on here. And I think that Framer is dead on when they think that people are going to be really wanting to share I mean, you get stars, you get downloads and all that stuff like that. Maybe it's a good little marketing tool for your organization to put up some components on here. This is cool. This is really cool. Spotify player, Twitch player. Yeah, I like all this stuff. Look at that. Dang, I'm a big fan of this. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please ask. If not, I might call it because yeah, I feel like I've showed enough of this app and given enough of my thoughts on it. Again, I want to reemphasize that I've had this for a week, so I don't know how to use it very well. And two, it's beta software, so it's going to change a lot. So you want to keep an eye on it. But yeah, really cool. It feels and looks like the design apps you know and love. Has the best features of most of them. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, I'll just do a quick plug again for Level Up Tutorials. You can head over to leveluptutorials.com/pro. $19 a month, you get access to all of the courses. There's like 70 courses on here. Let me log out of here so you can see all of the different premium courses. I have tutorials, and yeah, a lot of premium courses. I release a new course every single month. If you don't know, check it out, leveluptutorials.com. I release a new course every single month. This course that I'm working on right now is React testing. I haven't announced that yet, so this is, I guess, the first official announcement. I'm doing a course on React testing React components for beginners. This is for people who haven't done a lot of testing, and to be honest, maybe testing scares them. Maybe it confuses them. For me, I was always one of those people. I shied away from testing because it scared me, and once things broke, I just didn't know how to do it. Now I'm like, I look forward to testing. So if you want to look forward to testing and you want your code to be super duper reliable, this month's course is going to be out by the end of the month. You can sign up to be a pro, get access to a new course every month, sign up for the year, and save 25%. Again, there is a lot of courses on here. Each course is high quality, 27 videos each course. But again, all very real world. This level 2 React course just came out. It's cutting edge React stuff. You build some really cool stuff in these series. Okay, somebody asked about why these types of apps are subscription based. I would have to guess is because in the historical model of releasing an app, you release an app and that's it until version 2, right? Or version 3 or version 4. And every single time that version comes out, you pay for an upgraded price. And a lot of apps charge a lot of money for that upgraded price, right? And these apps also were just things that lived on your desktop. Nowadays, apps, especially things like this, they have server costs. They have long-term costs. These are costs that are being charged to them every single month. And so basically, my idea of it all is that they're charging less per month for you to get access to this app, but you get continuous updates. You get new things as it goes, instead of having to wait to version 2 and then paying a lump sum. I don't know this for sure. I don't have any money on this or data on this. I have no official understanding of this, but like, I would imagine you're probably spending the same amount on a subscription that you were on the lump sum updates that came out. The only difference is you got to choose whether or not you wanted the update or not. Let's see. Is the vector tools good enough in Framer X? The vector tools are great. I'd still say Figma probably has the best vector tools, but I don't use the vector tools to the point where I can break them enough. Like I use the vector tools, I use the pen tool, it works fine. And I should say it works better than fine. It does everything you need to do. One thing I really liked about the vector tools specifically here were that the capping and stuff like that was really nice, right? So let's go set, you do a pen, you do a line here. All right, let's increase the width here. I really like that it was all just available right here. You know, these cap, if you can see it. There we go. Nice cap here. We got a nice square edge, or, you know, we can do a rounded corner or stuff like that. I like that. The array here makes it into a dashed line, makes it nice and easy to work with. Again, I use this stuff mostly web design based. I'm not illustrating. So for web design, web development stuff, these tools are good. Do you think it's worth it for designers to learn React to create more unique code-based components in Framer? Well, it's a tough question. Do you need to? No, you don't. But React is awesome. And React has this like way of changing how you think about web development and web design overall. And if you are a designer and you're an amateur developer, or you're a designer and you're wanting to get into development, React can be extremely intimidating. React is intimidating for developers to get into when they first start because it's heavy into JavaScript. It's professional. It's like very, very legit JavaScript, right? There's not a lot of hand holding going on. It expects you to do everything. So I think it's worth it if you want to understand the web more, right? As a web designer, the industry's web design development, front end development, it all blurs enough that like if you understand how components work, when I design things, I design them as if I'm thinking about the actual component implementation in React because I'm a developer first and foremost, right? So I think it's worth it to at least have a knowledge of how things are working in this component based workflow, parent child relationships, sort of how these things all exist. You don't have to become a great React developer, but is it worth understanding how it works or the basics? Sure, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But it all just depends on where your interests lie. I don't think it's going to make or break you as a designer or something. If you're a good designer, you'll be a good designer with React without React knowledge. That said, being able to code components is pretty sweet. Like I mentioned, could save you a bunch of time, especially because you could use any of the programming language knowledge that you have to optimize and take care of some mundane parts of it all. But yeah, okay. So I've been cruising for about 46 minutes here. I'm going to give it a shout out once more to Syntax. If you are looking for a web dev podcast, syntax.fm. We talk all sorts of business stuff. Wes Boss and I, every single week, a couple episodes a week. We do a hasty treat, which is a short episode on Monday, and a long, full episode, which is about an hour long on Wednesday. And we talk about all sorts of stuff. So check it out, syntax.fm. Again, sign up for Level Up Pro if you are looking to learn this sort of stuff. I really pride myself in these tutorials, and I get a new series coming out every single month. And who knows, maybe it looks like August series is going to be on React testing, and who knows, maybe September series is going to be on Framer X, depending on when this thing is released. Who knows? But that said, I think that's going to be it. Unless anyone has any last minute questions here, I'm going to leave maybe a minute here for last minute questions. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.